Speed, bonny boat, like the bird on the wing, onward the sailors cry. Carry the lad that's born to be king, over the sea to Skye. Oh.
Last episode, I tried my hand at making one of Scotland's most famous landmarks. This episode, I'm taking inspiration from one of Scotland's most well-known songs. The Skye Boat cake is made up of a few different components: a lemon curd mousse, a blueberry mousse, a round of lemon cake, mirror glaze, a white chocolate sailboat, and a cotton candy cloud. To do this properly, we'll need to travel to the seaside. I'm starting off with the lemon cake. In the bowl of a stand mixer, I'm creaming together my butter and sugar, along with the zest of 1 lemon. Then I'm pouring in my eggs and mixing until combined. I'm following this with my flour, which I'll mix in until just incorporated. Then, I'm transferring my cake batter to a greased and lined baking sheet, and baking at 300 degrees Fahrenheit or 150 degrees Celsius for 20 to 25 minutes. Once the cake is baked and cooled, I'm using a round cutter slightly smaller than the silicone mold I'll be using for the mousse cakes to cut out rounds of cake, then using a serrated knife to slice each round in half before covering them and setting them aside. Now for the lemon mousse. I'm starting this off by making a batch of lemon curd. I'm getting the zest of 2 lemons in a bowl, followed by the lemon juice, and sugar. I'm then adding in 4 egg yolks and setting this over a double boiler to cook, whisking constantly to prevent my eggs from overheating. As you whisk, the mixture will go from being thin and watery to thick and fluffy. At this point, it's time to add in the butter, whisking until melted. I'm whisking for an additional few minutes so that the lemon curd thickens up again before removing it from the heat, covering it with cling film placed directly on the surface of the curd, and refrigerating until cool. Once cooled, it's time to prep the rest of the mousse. In a small bowl, I'm combining gelatin and water before setting it aside to bloom for 10 minutes. In a large bowl, I'm whisking 450 milliliters of heavy cream until it reaches soft peak stage, before whisking in my icing sugar. Now I'm gently folding my whipped cream into the lemon curd in 3 additions. Then I'm microwaving my bloomed gelatin for 15 seconds just until it's melted, and whisking this through the lemon curd mousse. Before the gelatin has time to set, I am immediately transferring the mousse to a piping bag and piping it just under halfway up some disc-shaped silicone molds. Then I'm giving the molds a few taps to level the mousse out before transferring them to the freezer until my blueberry mousse is ready. For the blueberry mousse, I'm just heating 225 grams or about 1.5 cups of blueberries over low heat and using a whisk to break them up as they cook. After about 10 to 15 minutes, when the blueberries have a lovely compote texture, I'm just passing them through a sieve, then placing the strained blueberry compote into the fridge to cool. Once cooled, I'm following the same steps as with the lemon curd whip. I'm whipping my cream until it reaches soft peaks, adding in the icing sugar, folding the whipped cream and blueberry compote together, Next, I'm whisking my melted gelatin through before transferring all of this into a piping bag and immediately piping a layer of the blueberry mousse on top of the lemon mousse. I'm making sure to leave a small amount of space for the rounds of cake, which I am then pressing into the mousse before transferring this all to the freezer until completely frozen. All that's left to do now is to mirror glaze the cakes, make the white chocolate sailboats, and prep my cotton candy cloud, all of which is pretty straightforward. The recipe for mirror glaze is actually pretty simple. Where people go wrong is with the temperatures. Make sure that your mousse cakes are completely frozen and just out of the freezer, and that your mirror glaze has cooled to 110 degrees Fahrenheit or 43 degrees Celsius before pouring it over. Next episode, we're going into the woods. Make sure you're subscribed and that you've hit the bell button to be notified when episode 4 goes live. If you'd like to support me in creating more series like this, consider becoming a patron. Links for my Patreon are in the description box below. Before you go, instead of taking sponsors for this series, I wanted to use each episode as an opportunity to pay it forward and promote up-and-coming Scottish-based artists and creatives. This week, I wanted to introduce you to the writer, editor, publisher, entrepreneur, and all-around great person, Sophia Hembach.
When you're searching for something, you're always a bit lost.
Based in Edinburgh, Sophia is the editor of The Mousse-letter, a popular and beautifully written weekly newsletter. Along with the Mousse-letter, she runs the Muse Salon, a bi-monthly creative workshop, and has recently started her own indie publishing house, Mousse-letter Publishing. She writes in both English and German and has published 3 books, the most recent of which is titled Things I Have Noticed, Essays on Leaving, Searching, Finding. Written and published during the pandemic, the book has garnered huge amounts of praise. If you're interested in getting a copy of the book and would like to support a local Scottish-based creator, go check out the bookshop on mouseletterpublishing.com, sign up to the Mousse-letter at themouseletter.substack.com, and give her a follow on Instagram at Sophia Hembach. She's always posting really interesting things. The links for all of Sophia's pages are in the description box below. I would really encourage you to go and check them out.